Hi, my name's Emily, and this week's theme is appetizers. So I decided that I'm gonna make a chicken quesadilla. To make our chicken quesadilla, we have chicken, cheese, tortillas, sour cream, salt, pepper, chili powder, ground cumin, and oregano. We also have veggies. So over here we have green onions, bell pepper, and a white onion. And then we have extra virgin olive oil to cook our chicken with. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up all my veggies. But before that, I'm going to clean my veggies. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so first I'm going to start off with cutting my bell pepper. I've already gutted it and washed the insides, got all the seeds out and everything. So I'm going to cut it this way, like in half. And then again in quarters. And then I'm just going to take those quarters and put them on top of each other, 2 at a time, and chop them into strips. And then from the strips, they should look a little like that. I'm going to cut them in half again, and in half again. So we get kind of like these little square cube pieces, and then I'm going to do that to all of these and be right back. Okay, so pretty much now all of my bell pepper is chopped up. I used the whole thing. I only used one of them though. And I'm going to go through here and just any pieces that I see that are a little bit bigger than I would like them to be, I'm just going to chop them up a little bit more until they're nice and fine to fit my quesadilla. Okay, so now moving on to the onion. I moved all my bell peppers to a separate plate, and I've already cut off the top and my bottom of the onion. I'm just going to cut it in half because I don't want to use the whole onion for this. I'm just going to use about half of one. And then cut it again. And then I'm going to set this aside. So with my halves, I'm going to cut them in half. And then I'm just going to chop them up sideways like this into fine little cubes. Okay, so I finished chopping on my onions. I did the exact same thing that I did for my bell peppers. So I just, any pieces that were a little bit too big, I chopped them up and then moved them to the plate. And now moving on to my green onions. I'm going to go, I don't know, about a little bit more than halfway and just chop them off and then throw this bit away. And then I'm going to come back to these and kind of bunch them up a little bit. And then start chopping them like this. And then just do that for the whole thing. Okay, so I'm actually only going to take a little bit of this green onion and use it as my garnish. So I'm going to cut them up in super, super tiny little fine pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to saute my bell pepper and my white onion. I'm going to start by turning my stove onto, let's say medium low. Then I'm going to put a tiny bit of olive oil in the pan. I don't want to put too much just because I don't want to saute my veggies and not cover them in oil. Just move that around a little bit. And then I'm going to pour not all of my veggies in because I will end up using all of them, but majority of them in the pan. So that's about a good amount, a little bit more onion. And now I'm just going to let them sit around and saute until the onions are almost clear and the bell peppers become a little bit soft. Okay, so now my sauteed veggies are pretty much done. I'm going to turn my heat off. And this is what they kind of look like. The onions are a little bit brown and translucent, and then most of my bell peppers have shrunken a little bit and are brown on one side. So I'm going to just put this on the back burner. Okay, so now that my veggies are done, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my chicken. I'm just going to open the package and then take maybe 2 of the breasts out. Let's just do 1 actually, because it's pretty big. side. Okay, so for my chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it in half, kind of on that muscly part. Okay, so now that I've cut my chicken breast in half, I'm just gonna work on cutting most of these really light, like flimsy, fatty parts out. Okay, so now that I've cut most of the fat pieces out, I'm just gonna take my chicken and cut it into almost like cubes. So I'm gonna cut it into strips this way and then cube it this way. Now that all my chicken is kind of cut in these cubes, they'll shrink when they cook, so they can be a little bit bigger pieces. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to season. So first I'm gonna start out with some salt. I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it around. Use quite a lot just because we want it to be seasoned and good. Next, I'm going to be taking my chili powder and sprinkling not as much on as we did with the salt, but some. I want to, like I said before, I want to give this chicken some flavor. I don't want it to just be bland chicken in my quesadilla. I want it to taste really good. Next, we have pepper, just black pepper. Just a little bit of this. I don't want our chicken to be too peppery. And last but not least, I'm going to take some ground cumin and just mix it up. Oh, also a little bit of ground oregano, not too much, just because I think the salt and the chili pepper will kind of season our chicken enough. Trying to get it under my nails. And now I'm just going to take my hands, I've already washed them after I cut the chicken, and just kind of mix your seasoning around a little bit. You want everything to be incorporated in the chicken so that no chicken is left unflavorful. You want it to all be nicely coated. Okay, so back over here to my same pan that I cooked my sauteed veggies in. I just put them on a plate. I'm going to put our heat on, again, about the same medium 4-6 range. I'm going to take a little bit of our extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to do a little bit more this time just because we're cooking chicken and I don't want it to stick whatsoever. Wait for that to heat up a little bit, and then I'm just going to grab my chicken. So I have a lot of chicken on this plate. What I'm going to do is I'm only going to cook a little bit at a time just because I don't want it to all stick together in the pan and become one big mess. So just taking a little bit of my chicken here at a time. I'd say almost about half, a little bit less. And then I'm going to be just sauteing this and mixing it around, making sure it doesn't stick until it's white. Okay, now that all of my chicken is done cooking, I just, like, a way to know that it's done, that I know it's done, is it's white on the outside. When I tear it open, there's zero pink. So, for our chicken, I'm going to be, just going to grab some to show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to shred our chicken for our quesadillas. So I'm going to take my fork, hold this part with my hand, and just kind of cut it open like so. And then once it's in small enough pieces, I'm going to group it all together and take 2 forks and just go back and forth for shredding it. Okay, so I finished shredding all of my chicken. I actually found like this food processor that you chop it up by hand, and it made my job 10 times easier. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mix in my sauteed veggies from earlier. I'm just going to scoop those in. Like so. And then I'm going to take a little bit more seasoning. So my chili powder, I'm just going to go ahead and shake some in there. And then I'm going to mix it up. Okay, so I'm finally done with my veggies and my chicken. So now I'm going to make my quesadillas. I'm going to turn my heat on, again, like a medium-low. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put my tortilla in here. I want it to toast a little bit and get warm before I put all my stuff in it. Okay, now that my quesadilla is kind of warmed up a little bit, I'm going to start with a layer of cheese. I'm going to just grab, I like a lot of cheese on my quesadillas. I'm mainly going to focus on the middle because when I put the other tortilla on top, I don't want it to spill out of the sides. Okay, so I'm going to start putting the cheese in my quesadilla. I'm going to focus it a little bit towards the center just because I don't want everything to fall out, but I also want to be able to have toppings everywhere on my quesadilla. Okay, now I'm going to add my chicken and veggie. I'm going to take about a few scoops full, just kind of scoop it onto here. Again, more focusing it on the middle because I don't want all my stuff to fall out. Okay, so now that I have like my cheese and my chicken and my veggies on, I'm just going to put another tortilla that I toasted over top and wait for them to cook. Okay, so I finished my quesadilla and I just plated with a little bit of sour cream, and then our green onions from earlier I topped on the sour cream.